Let's get ready to rumble.
And that's what we saw last night.
Yes, that was the WWE. You know, a lot of people may forget that Donald Trump was very big in the WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be in their Hall of Fame if they have one.
Uh-huh.
But he did to Biden, or tried to do to Biden what he did to Bob McMahon, when he wrestled him, or he gave him a haircut right in the ring. Did you remember that?
I don't recall that.
Well, I sent a GIF over that had that. But anyway, and it was obvious from the beginning. I mean, what could be more WWE than all these pre-debate, questions like drug tests,
Earpieces.
Electronic devices, breaks every half hour because he doesn't have the stamina for 90 minutes.
Or wanted to check in with his team.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever that was all about, yeah. And some of that he had agreed to and then relented on the afternoon of yesterday.
Yep. So, during the debate, of course, it was also very WWE. The only thing he didn't do was go over and throw Biden off the podium.
Which would have happened if Chris Wallace hadn't been there. And then we would have had a debate.
Right.
Because as it was just a forum.
Right.
And it was very much a scripted forum with time limits and all that stuff. And, of course, that doesn't suit Trump.
No.
There was nobody in the audience. That doesn't suit Trump. I mean, it was basically a Biden opportunity, and, he didn't fare as badly as I expected, but he...
Right. I mean, he didn't make an obvious mental breakdown, but...
there were a few of them.
Yeah,
you could see him, or he was struggling.
Could say it was because he stutters.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't completely...
Wasn't as obvious as some we've seen.
But Dana Perino said if Donald had just held back a little bit and let him talk, maybe he would have hung himself.
Others have said that.
Yeah.
But and you can draw your own conclusions there, but if he had been able to implode on his own, that would have been instructive. But also, I think that Trump knew that it was sort of fitted for Biden rather than for himself, and so he was compelled by an opportunity to interject and to place commentary where he could. And you only have a handful of minutes in the course of an event like that. You really have
90 minutes, but still, yeah, you're right. And he kept hammering the same points. Donald has, this is what I've heard quite a few people say, and I have to agree, he keeps jabbing and jabbing and jabbing, but he doesn't deliver the knockout blow. If he had stayed consistent, but he jabs him real hard, but then he backs off and goes on another tangent.
Right. But, he's got so much to say, and, for 3.5 years he's been putting up with this.
I know. I sense that he was truly angry.
Oh, and who can blame him?
No, I can't blame him.
There was an announcement yesterday that Hillary knew damn well that the subsource for the Steele dossier came from a Russian spy.
Right.
Who's been living in this country and working at the Brookings Institute.
The Brookings Institute and at connections. And one time he said something about, if you guys ever want to make some extra money.
Yeah.
So,
oh, man.
I mean, this whole thing with Russiagate has just been so corrupt. I mean, no wonder the man was angry. But there were several points where, if he had just stayed on point about, like, Antifa and about some of the other points, the Green New Deal, if he had just stayed a little bit longer and really delivered a knockout blow, I think most people think that Donald Trump basically won the debate, or Biden didn't completely collapse, which would have been good, but that even though he won the debate, he could do better. And the first debate is usually the toughest on the incumbent.
This is established or expected from the President of the United States to be his weakest opportunity to address the issues, and then he improves over the course of time.
Right.
Probably because, if for no other reason,
well, just look at Romney and Obama. Romney wiped the floor with Obama in the first debate, and everybody knew it.
Right.
But then Obama came back strong in the next two.
Mm-hmm.
So
it does fit a pattern.
Yes, it does show a pattern. You know, I really did not like how Biden kept recycling these slurs on Trump, and he drops the, you know, when he's,
I would call them lies.
yeah, they're lies, yeah. The if true qualifier that he used when he gave a speech about it, that was completely gone. Yes,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
know.
Yeah. It was hard to watch that stuff. And I think partisans to the debate, depending upon which side of the divide you're on, were, I think, expected to be disappointed by what we saw yesterday. But then this John Nolte from the Breitbart has an article which clearly states the case for Trump. The title of his article is Donald Trump won the first debate, and he goes into significant detail, and we should probably quote some of it in the course of our program today because it's worthy of it. But it doesn't fit the established narrative. But keep in mind that in the past, these debates, I mean, Trump, from the left's perspective, did not win a single debate in 2016, but he won the election.
Right.
So draw your own conclusions. Now, Telemundo did an online plebiscite, and I think it was 66% of the total went to Trump.
Yeah.
66 and 34 to Biden from an Hispanic audience.
Right.
So it's getting through, but it's not getting through the current media that we call established. You know, it's there, but I know I watch it, and I didn't expect much from it, actually. I thought it was going to be controlled with Chris Wallace at the helm. I mean, I've maintained on this program that I find him absolutely despicable. But I thought he was more reasoned and comfortable last night.
Well, we'll be right back, and we'll actually announce the name of the show when we come back.
That's right, we didn't do that. Because we were ready to rumble.
Destination Midtown. Experience the difference. Reno's premier shopping extravaganza. Everything imaginable and more.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsyth Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.wainemaranch.com. That's WYNEMA ranch.com.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back, and this is Talking Truth to Power, and your Nevada and Reno's Freedom Talk Radio. I'm your host, Brendan Traynor, my co-host, Leland Faegre. So we've got that out of the way, Funny.
That's who we are.
Yes.
Around the world, wherever you find
Yes. www.americamatters.us. And we did want to mention that our one of the mentors of this show that we respond to and admire all the time is former Congressman and presidential candidate Ron Paul was doing his Liberty Report show on Friday morning. It comes on about 8 o'clock or 8:30 this our time on YouTube. And he suffered a mini stroke during the show and was hospitalized, but he was back on the job Monday morning.
It was hard to watch, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Very
it was.
difficult to watch. Have you ever spoken to Dr. Paul?
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
He was always very accessible.
Yeah, and I was a major enough donor that I sat with him when he was in
Oh,
Reno
very
one
nice, yeah.
time. Yeah.
I had occasion with my daughter back in 2008 to see him here at the UNR, and then back down in Carson City. He went down to the Nugget down there.
Right.
And it was down there that I approached him while my daughter was next to him, and I said, you know, you you were among how many votes did he get in 2008? I think it was 744,000 or something like that. and I when I mentioned the figure, he says, "Oh, you were one of those votes." He says to me. I said, "Yes, I was."
Yeah, and I would also like to give out a sad notice or in memoriam to Stephen Cohen, Professor Stephen Cohen.
Yeah.
Who died last week, passed away, and if we were doing our segment on Jews in the news, he would be one of the good guys, one of the good Jewish people.
You'd always get it straight out of him, wouldn't you?
Right.
Yep.
And he was always quick to point out that the Jews have never been more free in Russia than they are today under Putin. There is no, he's one of the few people of the Jewish diaspora that has left Russia. I don't know when his family left, actually, but so many of them become rapidly anti-Russian, and we see them all the time. They're the neocons and the other Jewish people that are never Trumpers and freak out because Trump, basically said during his campaign in 2016 that he wanted to have better relations with Russia. And that was the whole, they still can't let it go. They're still doing Russia. Everything is Russia, Russia, Russia.
Remember the good old days when the Rosenbergs were held in high esteem by the Democrats?
I know. And
those were the good old days.
Yeah, so we're sad to see Professor Cohen go. He was a voice of reason in these days of madness. So anyway, so if you want to go back to the debate a little bit.
Yeah, there's plenty to talk about there.
Yeah. I was upset with Chris Wallace when he pointed out that the Southern Poverty Law Center called the Proud Boys a hate group.
Citing them.
I know.
It's just reprehensible.
I know. The Southern Poverty Law Center is a hate group, and they've been exposed as totally corrupt. Their leadership, which is Jewish, if I may say, their leadership has been called misogynist, always, head hitting on the shikskas that work for them, the goyim woman, and also, in fact, racist that in their staff and how they promote people. Mm-hmm. And not to mention the millions of dollars they have squirreled off in offshore accounts from these donations that they get. And the Proud Boys, they were founded by Darren McGavin, who is sort of soft alt-right. He's a race realist to a certain extent. He writes a lot for Tacky Magazine and other outlets, which are libertarian populist outlets. But
he writes for a Tacky Magazine?
Tacky.
Tacky Magazine.
Tacky. T-A-K-I.
Not generic.
No.
Tacky.
Some of the same people right there that write on VDare, for example. You ever seen VDare? Mm-hmm. But so he's a race realist, but he's not a racist, in my opinion. But the president now of the Proud Boys is one Enrique Tarrio.
I'm sorry?
Enrique Tarrio, who is a mixed-race Cuban-American. So to say that all these...
there's your white supremacist for you.
Yeah, there's your white supremacist for you. And there's plenty of pictures of the Proud Boys shaking hands with him.
Who has more fun than we do on the show?
I know.
I mean, pointing out all this stuff.
I know.
Mean, you'd never get it anywhere else.
No, you don't. And
I know people around the world are getting up in the middle of the night just to listen to us. Or it should be.
They should be, yeah. So, and did we mention that all the slurs that Biden recycled, like the slur about...
You described them as slurs. I described them as lies.
Yeah, they are lies.
Oh,
yeah.
man, they are just...
Oh, man. And so, and of course, Biden refused to answer direct questions about packing the court, the Green New Deal, what's up with Hunter Biden.
Well, he has his own Green New Deal, he said.
Yeah.
Which is about half the money. But he better get on the stick because, there's only 10 years left, and then that's it for us.
I know. Then we're all gone. We got to get rid of those cow farts. And
I think one of the things that Trump did very, very well last night, and he did. I think he took the debate. I mean, I wasn't expecting much, and I knew it was going to get ugly and everything like that. But I think the fact that he disenfranchised the left, his own left, with that Green New Deal statement, They love that stuff. They love that climate change stuff.
Right.
And he walked away from it.
But the thing is, the people on the left know that Biden is not a leftist. I mean, they couldn't even get subsidies for the oil companies is not even in the Democratic Party platform.
Right, but I'm talking about the people on the street.
Right.
Yeah, they just don't get that. And so what they heard last night was, oh, he's not 100% for the new Green New Deal. What is it? Is it new before the green or after the green?
The Green New Deal.
Green New Deal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that's going to disenfranchise the left that was to support him. You know.
Right. It could.
Yeah.
It could. But I think he's got to go after him the same way he went after Hillary. That Biden is a tool of not of the left, but of the establishment. The neoliberal establishment on immigration.
Yeah, I think he's
and
doing
trade
both.
and
Actually,
everything.
I don't think he's singling out the middle to the expense of the left. But
well, I'd like to see a little bit more about that. But anyway, so do you have any other thoughts on it? You had some quotes that you wanted to.
Well,
tell
that Nolte article on Breitbart is great. He just flat out says Trump won, and it wasn't pretty, but Trump won. You know, and that's why he says the corrupt media want to cancel the next two debates.
Oh yeah.
They do. Because if there was blood on the floor last night, and I said there should be, and I didn't even think he'd show up. Frankly, I was surprised, and I wasn't the only one, by the way.
Right.
Turned out Rush didn't believe he was showing up. It made no sense, and others had said the same thing. So that there should be an ambulance just outside waiting for him, just in case, you know. But it's also why the media are lying about Trump refusing to condemn white supremacy.
Right. Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. That was he said, what group do you want me to condemn?
Right.
I mean, what are the white supremacist groups that are out there kicking, burning buildings and knocking people over the head and shooting?
It's an idea.
It's an idea.
Remember he said that Antifa was an idea.
Yeah. Well, and he quoted that turncoat FBI agent. He should get rid of Wray like he got rid of Comey.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to go. I think he's looking for an opportunity to show him the exit, show him the door, you know. Probably not before the election.
You should get rid of the FBI, period.
Yeah.
Not just the.
Well, start with the 7th floor and then work your way down.
But it's only a few rotten apples. It's only a few rotten. That's what we hear all the time. No, it's the whole institution. They do this all the time. It's been weaponized and politicized, since the time it was, started under J. Edgar Hoover. Remember all the dossiers he had on everybody?
Yeah. Well, and Biden straight out said he would repeal the tax cuts, tax cuts, unequivocally. So there's no more discussion on the subject.
But not just, he talks about raising the tax rate from 21% to 28%. What he doesn't say is he would restore the tax deduction for state and federal, for state and local taxes. And in the democratic cities like New York City, that is what's really killing New York, that the rich liberals can no longer deduct the money they pay to New York City.
And that was the issue at the time, at the time that it was legislated. And so I think, all in all, if you look at the debate, I think it was definitely a Trump win. And it won't be described that way on CNN or MSNBC.
No.
But I was quite satisfied with it as I went to bed. And Hannity did a great after party, didn't you think?
Yeah, I listened to part of that.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but part of it, yeah.
I thought he did real good in wrapping that up. So.
Well, we'll see. We have...
Biden is old. You know that?
Pardon me?
Biden is old.
He's old?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We know he's old.
Yeah.
But he looked absolutely shaken a couple of times.
Yes, he did.
He didn't know what to do.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
And all he could do was call out names. And
we saw that. I mean, the American people saw that last night.
I think so.
Yeah. And Trump asked him for one law enforcement agency that supported him, and he couldn't come up with it.
No.
Wasn't scripted for him to answer that question.
Or if he did have some kind of wireless electronic device.
Failed?
Yeah.
1 in 3 adults in America have pre-diabetes, but most don't know it.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now, back to the show.
Hey, welcome back to Talking Truth to Power, Nevada's Freedom Talk Radio. I'm your host, Brendan Trainer. My co-host is Leland Faegre. And we were talking about the debate, but I wanted to switch over a little bit and let's talk a little bit about the Supreme Court appointee, Amy Coney Barrett. You want to go ahead?
Absolutely. Real fond of her.
Yes. I think that what we have learned, I have learned recently, she gives a speech at Hillsdale College that's on YouTube, which I found very enlightening. And
I mean, on a monthly basis, or
no, on an annual, or there's one or two of her speeches online, 2 or 3 of them really. So it's her support for the Second Amendment. I think that is what came through the most forcefully in that speech, and it was because she had a case before her about a felon, an ex-felon, well, an ex-con, a felon. That was arrested for being in possession of a gun. And she actually went back to and reviewed the founding documents on gun rights. So right there, I'm going, all right, this is somebody that is serious about the Second Amendment. And so she voted to overturn his conviction.
Unlike RBG.
Yes. Because she said the founders only wanted to ban gun possession for violent felons, while the defendant was convicted of a non-violent felony. So one of the problems with the court as constituted that has frustrated Clarence Thomas and others on the court is that the Supremes have been refusing to take Second Amendment cases. So and there's quite a few differences between the circuits. One of the glaring ones is the Ninth Circuit, with a Trump appointee, struck down the magazine limit that California had instituted. Right. And I think that was the 3-judge panel. They're probably going to try to get en banc on that. But so there are other circuits that have upheld magazine bans or limitations, not bans, but limitations. So she would be willing to hear that kind of case if there is a discrepancy between the circuits, which the current Supreme Court, the liberals on the Supreme Court, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, have been refusing to hear. So that would be a good thing. I think that would be an excellent thing. She also refused a police officer qualified immunity from suit because of, again, someone this time was wrongfully convicted for murder, but the officer lied on his probable cause documents. And she said that the defendant sued because of the miscarriage of justice, and she refused to grant the officer who lied qualified immunity. So that's a good sign. And
but the District of Columbia versus Heller, that was a pretty definitive case.
Right.
So their decision not to take up a lot of these cases is probably, for them, it was clutter, because they pretty much resolved. I'm not saying or suggesting that they shouldn't take up these cases as they come in. In most cases, they should. And maybe they will now that she's there.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. It was a pretty definitive case, but they're trying to find ways around it, just like they're...
You mean Heller?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're trying to limit
absolutely.
its scope.
Yeah.
And so I think that she would, considering how she's willing to go and do the original research on the issue, I think that's a very good sign.
Mm-hmm.
And
Don't you think a lot of these senators are refusing to meet with her because she will disarm them?
the Democrats, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
so.
if they get into hearings and say, "Geez, I kind of like her. I can't really, I can't really use this against her."
Well, there doesn't seem to be much not to like. I mean,
Exactly.
I mean, she obviously is not a beer drinking frat boy. They can't accuse her of that, or a serial rapist. They
Right.
can't accuse her of that.
No, they can't.
So I don't see what they're going to do. Of course, there's the Catholic thing, and
I think that's all they got. Isn't it?
yeah. So I think 1962 is calling. They want their anti-papist bigotry back.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll see if they can get anywhere with that. I mean, they have tried. Dianne Feinstein said a nasty thing. Now, they're accusing her of belonging to a Catholic group called, I think it was Faith and Prayer.
Something, other than Opus Dei, which we talked
Yeah.
about, yeah.
Yeah, if it was Opus Dei, that is extremely traditionalist. They want only the Mass in Latin and, very strict enforcement of the, divorce and abortion laws. I don't think that they can accuse her of that. This other group seems to be pretty run-of-the-mill, not much there, but we'll see if they can bring something up about that. And then this Ibrahim Kindik, have you heard of him?
I have as of this morning.
Well,
Thanks to my co-host, Brendan Trainer.
yeah. Well, he's an academic he's got this shtick about you can't be non-racist. You're either racist or anti-racist.
Actually, I heard his quote a couple days ago. It
Uh-huh.
was pretty offensive.
Yeah,
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I know about the
But
the
he's-
Haitian children.
Yeah, but he's the colonialism, that reference.
right.
Wasn't that what he
That
said?
you have to bring the children into white
Yeah,
culture, you
right,
know.
right.
Instead, so he guess
But he's about the only one saying this.
I think so, but
I haven't heard anyone else, kind of attach themselves to this.
and he's gotten quite a bit of feedback.
Mhm.
The only other time that adoptions have been weaponized was during the early days of World War II and late 1930s when Americans were offering to adopt Jewish children in Germany, and the Zionists were the ones that blocked it. They said, we can't have Jewish children being brought up by the Goyim,
Because it's our fault.
But, so they were basically saying it's better for these kids to die in the ovens than
Yeah.
be adopted by
Yeah.
a Christian.
Have a good life in the West.
Yeah. And, also, I have a sister I have 5 sisters, and my sister Patricia is the most Catholic of the 5.
Most Catholics, of the Catholics?
Yeah, of the Catholics. My family was Catholic, typical.
I'm picking
Middle of the
up on
road.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
Catholic. But most of us are agnostic, like I am, but secularists. But I have one sister that's an evangelical, and one Patricia that's Catholic, and she's an attorney herself, and married to a retired sailor, Navy man who he has a post-Navy life occupation. He designs drones with cameras that will photograph the penguins in the Antarctic.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's just interesting.
Yeah, it is.
But she went to Kazakhstan, or they went to Kazakhstan. They adopted 2 Cossack children over there. And, so it's kind of offensive to me to say that if Americans go to the third world and, they adopt these children to give them a better life in the richest country in the world, that they're being colonialists,
Yeah, it really is below the belt.
I know.
Horrible.
And that whole anti-racist thing is also, that's what Joe Jorgensen, the Libertarian Party candidate, in the early days of her campaign, she actually tweeted that. She got a lot of negative feedback about that. She said, we can't be non-racist, we have to be anti-racist. And that's just not true.
No.
Anti-racism is a religion.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. You can't be completely anti-racist. There are some things that, race and religion means something, although it should not be the ultimate determinator. Everybody is an individual. For example, Yeah, if I was on the Senate committee and a neocon or one of the many conservative Zionist Jews that are now in the administration, or the dispensationalist evangelicals that believe in the rapture, if I had the chance to question them, I would take a pretty hard stand, although the Constitution says there's no religious test for public office.
Nope.
So I'd have to find a different way around that. And we'll see if the Democrats can come up with a different way of attacking Amy Coney Barrett.
I don't think so.
No.
No.
But, this does leave, it's interesting, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants were the people that built America. And they're still the largest overall religious denomination if you lump them all together. Anglicans, Presbyterians, Methodists. They comprise the majority of the Christian population in America. They've only got one representative on the Supreme Court. Where's affirmative action for the WASP?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good point.
So poor Neil Gorsuch, he must feel all alone out there. So, but we'll see. I think that she's gonna. I think they'll get her done in good order. I think they're going to. The Democrats will protest and jump up and down, but I don't think they're going to be able to stop her.
No, they got nothing.
No. So, and that'll be good. So we'll have Trump's legacy, like he said in the debate last night, is 300 federal judges and 3 Supreme Court judges.
And this isn't widely discussed, but the reason all those seats were left open was because everybody thought Hillary was going to win.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's why Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't retire.
Absolutely.
She was sure that Democrats would be in office from here to eternity.
Obama left those seats for her.
Yeah.
Didn't work out too well.
No.
At a Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now, back to the show.
Hey, welcome back to Freedom Radio. I'm your host, Brendan Traynor. My co-host, Leland Faegre. And we'd like to talk a little bit about Breonna Williams and her investigation. I know some people were saying that the left lied because they initially said she was not shot. She was shot in her bed.
The left lied?
Yeah. But that could be confusion because of this policeman that was charged, not for shooting her, but Brett Hannigan is his name, Hallenbach. Brett Hallenbach. There were 3 officers involved in the actual raid. And he's the one that was outside of the apartment, and he fired blindly into the apartment, and that's what he is charges he is accused of is irresponsibility of firing blindly, and a couple of the bullets went into an adjacent apartment, but the other 2 officers were exonerated. But the case is not as clear cut as we would have. As they would have you believe. Now, remember, they very quickly, gave a $12 million settlement to the Williams family, and that.
What was the amount again?
$12 million.
Yeah, that was the number I remember.
Yeah, and that was, a sign that something was amiss, and so hopefully the feds will be investigating this. We don't know. Now,
well, the AG, who was a Republican, a black Republican,
right,
has now this morning released or is going to release the actual tapes rather than just the transcripts of the grand jury.
Of the grand jury. Well, that's good. That's what the family wants, and that's what their attorneys want.
I hope there's nothing ugly on there.
Yeah,
because here we go again.
Right. Well, a lot of legal commentators are saying that this warrant was extremely flimsy. They're saying this was an apartment building, not a single-family residence, it was a midnight or 12:30 a.m. Raid.
Midnight, yeah.
Why so late? And that there was the Attorney General Cameron and said that there was no video of the event, and that's true, but it's only narrowly true. There were the three police that were directly involved did not have video on them, but there were, unbeknownst to most of us until Vice got a hold of some videos and actually dumped about I understand several hours of videos. There were 4 other policemen that were, I guess, backups or on the scene, and they
really?
were wearing cameras. Yeah, and what's disturbing is that one of the videos that has been shown shows the officer Hallenbeck, who is the one that is charged for being reckless, as trying to get into the crime scene, trying to enter the apartment. And he was told that was against protocol and he had to leave. But then the video ends, so I don't know if we have video of him actually leaving.
Now, what was his motive?
Well,
Because he wasn't part of the actual confrontation.
I guess he heard the initial shots and decided to join in.
Oh, you know what? I did hear that.
Yeah.
He came from elsewhere and wanted to see what was happening. And
So the story is that, all right, so according to the sources that I have seen, they interviewed about a dozen people, and only one witness said that they heard the police announce. So they had a no-knock warrant, like Rand Paul wants to end no-knock warrants. So they had a no-knock warrant, but for some reason they decided to at least knock a little bit. And you're supposed to knock loudly and announce yourself and wait a minute, and then if nobody comes, you can knock down the door if it's a knock and announce, if you do a knock and announce. And they probably did not wait long enough, and if they announced, they may not have announced very loudly, because Mr. Walker, who was in the apartment with Breonna, her now boyfriend, he actually called 911.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so why would he call 911 if he knew that they were police? So that's a discrepancy right there. So he fired one shot, and it hit one of the officers in the leg, and then there was this whole barrage of shots. Now, the only thing is, the forensics is sloppy. The ballistics, I mean, they don't know who fired all these shots. We don't know. They claim that the officer who fired, one of the officers that was shot, I don't have all their names for this commentary, but there were 2 officers that knocked in the door, and this one, Hallenbeck, that was in the area and decided to join in, apparently, and shot through a window. So, but they don't know which shot actually killed Miss Williams.
That's right, yeah. So
if it was one of Hallenbeck's wild shots struck Miss Williams, he should be up for more charges. I mean, it's not only just reckless, but it's also manslaughter of some kind.
It just comes down to that ugly warrant, really.
Right.
And the drug war.
Yeah. The judge who signed off on the warrants, apparently they did a series of raids, and for some reason this raid was the last one. They got her ex-boyfriend. Now, the reason why Miss Williams is under some cloud of suspicion is that she kept letting this third guy, this second boyfriend or old boyfriend, borrow her car. And that was, the police think that when he borrowed the car, he used it for nefarious purposes. I believe there was even a body found in the trunk one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not hear that one.
Yeah. But either that or stashing or running drugs, stashing money, running drugs, that sort of thing. But they had they found no drugs and no money in Breonna Williams' apartment. So she might have had this shady ex-boyfriend, and we don't know if she had any real connection to what he was doing or not. And we may never know at this point. But now it's going to devolve around the responsibility for this warrant. So you've got a judge that signed off on this flimsy warrant. They should have had surveillance. They should have had at least 4 hours of surveillance so they would know who was inside the building.
Yeah.
And apparently they had no surveillance. And this is an apartment building. There were innocent people all around her apartment. So it could be a mess. And the thing is, David Cameron, who was featured, he's the black DA that was featured at the RNC
Right.
for being a new star.
He is, actually.
Yeah. Unless he's just another
I don't.
prosecutor.
I don't think so.
Well, he parsed his words
He
very
just finds
carefully.
himself in a very uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, and he parsed his words very carefully by saying there was no video taken of the break-in, but there was video taken. And so it was up to this alternative channel, Vice, to release all this body cam footage that they somehow obtained from the 4 other cops that were on the scene. So the Taylor family, of course, wants the transcripts and the recordings. You said he's going to release it now?
Yeah, he announced this morning.
Originally, he's stalling on that.
Right.
So,
But it's gonna be a week before we get them.
right. He said that could be because the feds have him now. The feds have the evidence now. So, but again, you're right, absolutely right, Leland. It goes back to the war on drugs. When you have a war on drugs, you're going to have all this collateral damage.
Absolutely. It's unavoidable.
Right. And so...
But we can't let people hurt themselves.
We'd rather hurt them ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing it for their good.
And, that is the Puritan ethic of America. That we were founded by the East Anglian Puritans, or at least that's one of the predominant strains of America. And people forget that the Puritans were very controlling. I mean, they remember Roger Williams left the Massachusetts colony and went down to Rhode Island because of how controlling
Rigidity,
they were.
yeah.
They were always spying on each other, not just the witch trials, but, just in general, if you were a Puritan, you lived in basically a police state. Even though there may not be any written laws, they control you. It's very similar to it's part. I don't want to digress there, but it's part of this whole American ethos, and there's a lot of good in the Puritan ethos. We from the Puritan evangelical movement, we get a lot of the idealism that you find in Western culture. Western culture is one of the most idealistic, universalist cultures in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because of Immanuel Kant, the categorical imperative, and even from Jesus Christ, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This is not...
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yes, I know. And it's been exploited by people for their own benefit. I'm not going to mention the name of the ethnic group that exploits it. But I guess I have
we
over
got
and
security
over.
here.
But, so that is, we're also oftentimes the victim of our own universal ethics. And because sometimes it's naive. I mean, some of these people were more said publicly that they were more concerned about children 1,000 miles away than about their own children, right? And
sometimes we just can't get out of our own way.
Right, yeah, that's part of it.
It's just and we don't see it until something
Right.
happens.
Right. So we have to spread democracy at the point of a gun.
For their own good.
Yes, for their own good.
I see here on Drudge that an American woman who worked for the United States Embassy in Kiev has died after she was found injured in a park. I wonder if there's something to the Biden connection there.
I wonder. Well,
Maybe we'll be talking about this next
we'll have
week.
to ask former Ambassador Ivanovich.